what would your character's final diary entry be now that we're saying goodbye to Bel-Air?
This is wow, that's a very good question. So I have always conceptualized that Carlton speaks to his younger self.
Mm,
And and part of it is because even throughout the season they we do this very interesting thing that we look at what a young Will and Carlton experience, right? And I think that the final diary entry would be, "Hey kid, we did it.
mm.
Um, we love ourselves now."
Honestly, I feel like it would be blank but it would be for the first time
Yeah.
in a way that I feel like Lisa's very meticulous and by the book, and I feel like her creative act would be a blank canvas.
Mm.
Yeah. I see so much of myself in Lisa because like I was a Miss Goody Two Shoes and then I got to college and I was like, like it's time. Like so
No, I
I
felt
just
the same
love
way,
seeing
girl.
her like I was like, yes, like she's a hottie. I love that.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Jabari?
I think Will's final diary entry would be a thank you note to his family, to the people who showed up for him, even through to Carlton as well, and to Lisa as well. We've seen Will constantly mess up for the last 4 years, just constantly messing up. And even in my life, Jabari. And so just I think a big thank you note to everyone who's always giving him the love that he never knew he needed.
Yeah, and it's like his mess ups are okay in my opinion because he does it with love, like like good intentions. I feel like
Yeah,
when we
yeah,
see that scene with the custodial worker
yeah.
and she is like, all of these children have ignored me. Will has asked me how my family was doing, just all of these things. And so I thought that was like a beautiful touch. And so for you, Ollie, I was watching and like doing my makeup for this call, and I shouldn't have done that because that scene with you and Uncle Phil, when you talked about having some reservation in your decision, that was so beautiful because I feel like that is what Carlton had been wanting from his father all along. And to see him finally get that was just so beautiful. So talk to me just about what would you think Carlton surrendered in this season that is bringing him, ushering him into like this next chapter.
He Carlton has surrendered control this season. This season has been a journey of Carlton surrendering his own expectations of himself. And what's so beautiful about that scene, I remember being on set shooting that with Adrian. It's just, when he says the words, "I'm proud of you, son," it sent chills down my spine.
Hmm.
Right. And it's just because of the understanding that that right there is what Carlton has been searching for this whole time. He's built up this idea of his father to this unattainable thing. And so he's always felt like he will constantly fall short of it. And so to have his father look at him and tell him, "You're doing great and you're where you're supposed to be," man, that means just the world. Um, yeah, I that scene just it warms my heart to think about, and I'm so proud of where Carlton ends up this season.
Me too. Me too. And then for you, Simone, again, because Lisa she's just having her hot girl season
She's
in
really living her best
general. Like she's living her best life. But in an ideal world, I know we're about to say goodbye to this character in a sense, but beyond the pages, what would Lisa's world look like ideally for you next?
life. Because I feel like she's breaking molds for herself, I feel like I have her as a Virgo as well. So I
Yeah, she's
feel like,
definitely a Virgo.
so I feel like she's gonna write down who she thinks her higher self would be.
Mm,
And I feel like she's gonna show up and she's one of those people that show up at college as a completely different person. And then you meet her
Mhm.
as that. I
yeah.
feel like she's gonna take her shell off and be like, thank you for that. I really needed you. And really adhere by that. And I also think that she would have, you know, trips to go see her mains in
Yeah,
there as well.
Yes, yes. And Jabari, Will, I feel like there's been such a focus on Will and his athletic ability and his wits, but we get to see the backstory and how smart he is. He's always been super smart without, it's like an effortless smart. Why was it important to like showcase that? Like, I feel like for like younger black boys and young black men to see like you can have life beyond like the typical making it to the league and think like being smart is cool, if you will.
Right. No, no. I
Mhm.
think that's a great facet of to show of a young black man, obviously, because growing up in any hood is a couple of decisions to make. You know what I mean? Either you want to be a rapper or you want to go to the league, you know what I mean? And so to even show, that he has that side of him, and not only that side of him, he's also an entrepreneur and he uses that side to grow not only his business, but to get back into, sports. It's a beautiful thing to be able to show because I think as our show is a mirror, and so a young black kid seeing that, they're saying, "Well, I can do that too," and so not only has he, created a successful business, he also got into an Ivy League school, you know what I mean, and I think he's pushing himself in ways that he never expected himself to be. Not only is he, not that he didn't know that he was smart, but he didn't know he had it like that,
Yeah.
and so once he's honestly, once he achieved that, he's like, what else? There's nothing I can't do. And showing that on screen for a young black kid, what I mean? It's just giving them the wings to say you can do it too. You
Yeah, I
know?
think people are gonna be shook when they see the college reveal because it's like y'all did a reverse in a lot
Right.
of ways, but I think it's just good. It's so
No,
good.
I think for to write something where Carlton ends up going to an HBCU and
Yeah.
ends up going to an Ivy League, that just it completes their foil character arc. I think it's one of the best decisions that the writers have made this whole show.
What did your characters have to surrender or give up to maybe close the chapter on Bel-Air?
I think Ashley has to give up the title of being the youngest sibling. She's now stepping into, you know, what's the word? Into being an older sister. Um, and so we get to see how she lives through that and how she deals with that.
I guess my character has to give up, in a way, control. I think Hilary is very like by the book, my way, and this is how it's going to be. I'm going to accomplish the things that I want in life, and then you realize that you don't really have that much control when things happen to you that you can't even imagine, and you have to pick up the pieces and rebrand in a way. And so I think she gives up control as a finale of her storyline.
Yeah, and I just love it because I was like, look at Hillary. She's giving Eat, Pray, Love. Like
Okay, heavy on it.
I was like, she's a guru. She's doing all the thing. I like even wrote down some of her quotes because I was like, I needed that today. And so for you, Cassandra, I saw the episode where um you were like God was in the room with you and
Janet Hubert.
Janet. And I was like, I was doing my makeup, so I was like, dang, like I wish I would have watched this before because I was about to cry. And then I cried a little bit, had to start over. But um there was just something so beautiful about witnessing Aunt Viv's surrender, like kind of come full circle. So I want to know, like, how did those scenes like shift you as a person? Because it shifted me as a viewer. So like, how did it shift you, like? In portraying it.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just the best, like bottling up the idea of what acting is to me, which is to surrender second by second. I could have never guessed that's how that day on set would have been. And Morgan Cooper, he kept talking about like, how are we gonna do this scene? Like, what are you thinking? I said, I just want to be present. And people are like, should we like clear out the room? Should it be like a private room while you and Jen are working? I said, no, people need to be present. Like men are in that room who are fathers. Like everyone should be present to see what spirits come. That's the biggest thing I'll take away from that. Jen Hubert was just such an open vessel, open mind, heart, and spirit, and she was such a lovely person and so fun between takes as well. But she and I both work the same way, which is like we don't know what it'll be until you say action. And if it's useful, you keep it. If not, we'll try it again. That's what it was like.
Yeah, and what I thought about was cool about Ashley's journey was just that she had a lot of pressure like as the baby. There were like scenes I was like, "Lord, not Ashley trying to steal alcohol." Like I was like, "What is going on?" But in it all, what I loved about your character is just how she remained true to herself throughout it all, even though she was like, just being a teenager. So for you, Akira, if you had to title her final diary entry for this final season, what would it be?
Now that is a good question.
That's
Woo,
it.
that's a good one.
Thank you.
Hmm, what would I say? Because it's like we're ending off her story in the show, but she's like just now beginning high school, so it's kind of like the start of her story. Um, I don't know. I would probably say the end of the beginning.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
That's
That's
a good one.
good. And
It chills. Woo.
yeah, and Coco, did you have any, because your character is focusing a lot on grief this season, and grief comes with people passing, but it also comes with the closing of a chapter. So did you channel any of your grief from like saying goodbye to the character of Hilary Banks into like the grief that she was experiencing in the show?
That's a great question. I think that I'm very like whatever's in front of me, I'm gonna focus on. So I tried not to think a lot about Hillary being, almost that chapter almost ending in my life. It was really odd how much my life and Hillary's storyline were similar. It was a little scary. So I just thought about what it would be like to lose this person that
Mm,
I finally have, and what would that mean of all the things that would come with losing, you know, the man that I love so deeply. And I guess I use that more than I use like, Hillary. She was going to be sad when she was going to be sad towards the end. But I wanted to, I guess, kind of correlate my own personal life with Hillary's storyline in that way.
yeah. And my last one is for you, Cassandra. There was another moment that I thought was so heartwarming when your line sister came and like actually came to the house because Hillary invited her. And we got to see your like you got to see like another side of her, because it was the hard part. And then her portrait, she was like, "Oh, I don't like it," because it showed that softer side. We talked about how we hope Black women saw themselves in Aunt Viv, but in that particular moment, how do you hope Black women resonate with like, you don't have to be hard body, you don't have to be an independent Black queen, you don't have to be strong if you don't want to. Like, you can embrace those softer sides of yourself.
I think we're coming into a time where people are becoming aware that vulnerability or being soft or like telling people like, that actually made me sad.
Mhm.
Like I like to believe we're going into that world. There's nothing, you know, Black women lose when we pretend like we're impenetrable. We lose. And as somebody who's had to deal with the medical system thinks that we are so strong that we don't feel. That's why when we need extra medicine or help, they disregard us because we're so strong. I'm like, listen, if we're so strong, they'll be happy to break us because they'll think
Mm.
it's a we have to start moving forward and be like, actually, that hurts me. You know what? There's this somebody online, Two Dope Queens. I forget the girl who's on there, and she's doing this crash out thing every day where she's crashing out. And I'm like, you know what? Something about it is so cathartic. It's like, oh, we can be this funny, but I actually hold great anger. I hold great anger because I hold so much sadness. Like, I think that's the way forward for us right now. And Tyra Banks did such a great job embodying how she has been taught to be a certain way. And we see that even in the political world. It's like, oh, you don't want to be feminine because if you're too feminine, then they won't. No, being feminine is the scariest thing in the room for these men.
Yes.
Showing your light and being smart, they get so distracted. Like, I think that's the thing. And I've seen that even with me and my sister. She's really leaned into her like femininity and her softness. And life has gotten easier. There's a reason why we got so much high blood pressure. We're trying to keep it all in. I'm like, love. I pray that that's what people get out of that scene, and I think they will, because Tara brought it, and that
Yes.
was not stage. That type of softness that she added to it.
If your character had one final journal or diary entry for this final season, what would it be?
It's not over.
Mm.
Mm.
It will be, it's not over. That's, yeah. That's what I can say.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah. All right, and to open that, it's not over, and so I think there'll be something philosophical in there, uh, like a wise quote or something, and then I think I'll have pictures of all the family, all the Bel-Air family, all the cast, you know what I mean, all the kids, stuff like that, you know, because family means everything to Jeffrey.
I think for my character, it would be like more like my last entry would be like it's better to have loved than to not have loved at all. Because in
Mm,
relationships, obviously there's journeys in relationships, there's ups and downs. Um,
mhm,
in this finale, um, without giving any spoilers of like where, Jazz and Hillary end up, regardless, it's okay wherever they end up because he has been, putting his heart on his sleeve for 2 seasons and kind of leaving with no stone unturned. And I feel like that's very important because I feel like a lot of people don't do that. Um, so yeah, in my journal entry, I think that's what I'll put.
And every time I
mm.
see Jazz on my screen, I'm like, that's a good man, Savannah. Like, I just
Hey,
want him to win. Like,
you know what I'm
because
saying?
he
Like,
Team
deserves,
Jazz.
a good
I'm Team
dude.
Jazz as well.
Oh
like,
yeah.
He's a
yes,
good
How
dude.
could you not be Team Jazz?
Thank you.
exactly. Exactly. And how about for you, Adrian?
I would say new beginnings for
Mm.
Phil. It's like it'd also be like, you know, job well done. The juice was worth the squeeze. He but now it's like inner peace and new beginnings, kind of thing. Because yeah, he had to. There was a lot going on in the first 3 seasons, and with Will and with Aunt Viv and just her, her career as an artist and him giving her space, providing her the space that she needs to be all that she is. And when you're a successful man, when you've got a lot of wealth, you kind of feel that your partner doesn't have to work anymore. She can just relax and you take care of everything. But you got to remember that they're their own individuals. They've got their own lives and their own desires and passions and goals and dreams, and you have to give them that space to go on to go about that journey and to just fulfill whatever passions that they have. And I think that Phil definitely had a moment where he's like, you don't have to do your art, you don't have to do anything anymore. I've got you, but he meant well. And the radical honesty scenes that he had with Viv were just so um impactful to not only the characters, but I think the audiences watching. They also could really gain a lot from that. Just having those moments with your partner and just sitting down and being vulnerable. And speaking of vulnerability, that too is something that he really embraced more as the season went on. It's just seeing that strength is not the absence of vulnerability, but it's the inclusion of it. It's a very important part of the development of a man. Period. And a lot of people they have a they have a negative outlook, towards vulnerability. They think it's weak and it's soft and whatnot. But we really show the importance of it, being transparent, being open, just being you, and knowing that you're enough in all aspects. So, yeah.
Yeah, there was a scene with Uncle Phil and Carlton. I was actually like watching the because they gave me 7 episodes to screen, and I was like doing my makeup, and I was so mad because I was about to cry because it
Mm.
was when he was just talking about his college decision.
Right.
And like that was like I think that that was the moment that like Carlton had been wanting from the very beginning, like from like I just want my dad to like maybe like be like I just love that Uncle Phil was honest. I think that was like
Hmm. Hmm.
chef's kiss. And so I know we're limited on time. So my last question for you all is just How are you all like, what is one thing from your character that you feel like is making you walk away as better men as a result of lending a voice to them for the last 3 years?
For me, I think leadership, leading with pride and being of service, or leading with purpose and being of service with pride, serving with pride. Because Philip Bank is definitely a strong leader, and he has helped me in my personal life as well, and just thinking about that more, and being of service to the community, because he's all about making the community better as well. He's
Mhm.
always thinking about outside of himself, and I think that's a beautiful quality.
I think playing Jeffrey is it's helped me to be even more, I think, efficient, in terms of how I move in life, like getting things done the way that Jeffrey just handles things, you know what I mean? In terms of being 3, 4 steps ahead. And I think I've always felt like I've been quite focused, but I think it's really helped me in my different areas of life, whether it's like the producing or it's where it's just like organizing things for family. I think that element's really been I've seen that change in me. And I think the other bit is also they've probably been in tandem as me tapping into my vulnerability and using that as a superpower